A multitude of landowners, so the council don't have control in terms of all of the plots of land, which has been challenging. It's an established industrial area that's working. It's got safeguarded wharfs and businesses in operation, and we are now at a point where industrial land values are actually higher than residential. So flipping it to a residential neighbourhood, it's almost become unaffordable in that sense. We would need to improve all the flood defences, which again is financially challenging. It's not particularly well connected for a part of, or very close to being in inner London. Well, our initial estimates are very close to £1 billion.
Hello, I'm Toby Fox from 1.5 million new homes, the local government challenge sponsored by Redloft and Lovell Partnerships. And I'm visiting a different council every month to find out what works and what needs to change to get more homes built. And this month, I'm in the Royal Borough of Greenwich. And I'm going to visit Emma Sweeney from Greenwich Council at Charlton Riverside to talk about the difficulties and the challenges that present themselves when a council sets about delivering 8,000 new homes.
I'm Emma Sweeney. I'm head of Regeneration for the Royal Borough of Greenwich. I suppose a champion of place in my role. We're here at Charlton Riverside, which is an enormous opportunity area for the borough. It's 121 hectares, so
Wow.
huge, sizable delivery. I suppose that we're right at the beginning of. It has been an opportunity area for a long time, and has struggled with, I suppose, getting off the ground.
What are the biggest obstacles? What's held it back?
Numerous things. I'll run through some of them. So one is sort of a multitude of landowners. So the council don't have control in terms of all of the plots of land, which has been challenging. It's an established industrial area that's working. It's got safeguarded wharfs and businesses in operation. And we are now at a point where industrial land values are actually higher than residential. Right. So flipping it to a residential neighbourhood, it's almost become unaffordable in that sense. Yeah. There's obviously some physical challenges as well. So in terms of the water,
lot of it's water.
Yes, yep. We have got the river defences aren't up to scratch for a residential use, so we would need to improve all the flood defences, which again is financially challenging. It's not particularly well connected for a part of, or very close to being in inner London. Yeah. The PTAL rating has typically been very low here.
That's the public transport access.
That's right. Yeah. So even though there are stations nearby, they're not close enough to sort of bolster that development capacity, which, whilst we think we have a solution, essentially we need money to sort of stump up that idea from the outset, which is something that we don't have.
So have you, that problem aside, do you feel now is the time for Charlton Riverside? Have you cracked some of those problems?
I think in terms of why now for Charlton, I think we've delivered a lot as a council, and this is one that sort of remains undelivered and poses a real great potential for the borough and for London. It's due to deliver 8,000 homes, which you can imagine is a real bonus for our housing targets as a borough and for the country. So I think that's why now. I don't think those challenges have gone away. I think we've just got to find a way to work around some of them. We certainly find ourselves in a stronger position, having bought some of the land and being now in a position where we can negotiate and work with some of the other owners and sensibly pick out routes that could be achieved with less parties, I suppose, than previously thought.
So a bit of CPO and using those powers that the government is giving local authorities to accelerate delivery.
We will probably need to use CPO powers. We haven't entered into that process at all yet, and are rather working by negotiation with some of the partners, with them delivering some of the housing will probably be the outcome.
So, Emma, you mentioned the proximity to the city. We're right tied into, close into London. So it's clearly a really great opportunity, but it hasn't happened yet. Yeah. So what does success look like for you?
I think it looks like a fantastic place, a neighbourhood that people can live and enjoy and visit. So we're standing on the Thames Path, which I think this stretch of the Thames Path would be amazing if it could be a destination for people.
And so close to the city of London. So
close to the city, and what a fabulous sort of walking route all the way out to Thamesmead it could be. I think in terms of seeing some early activity on site would be really great in the next sort of year or two. And maybe that's not about housing delivery, but about place creation, that you could come down here and enjoy some art or an event or some food. And that's, I think, the direction that that we feel that we're able to kind of control that initial, we would call that a meanwhile strategy.
So that's the council sort of influencing how people feel about a place, people's experience of a place, just by putting on activity here, making things happen.
Yeah, and I think looking at that and with a bit of a longer term trajectory, you are then increasing the profile of the place and encouraging those people to be interested, both residents and communities and developers and investors as well. So it's got a long-term aim to quite a short-term investment.
And what else needs to change to make Charlton Riverside happen?
Well, it would be fantastic if we could get a big amount of money from government.
What would you do with that money?
I would, like I say, get on with it, physically improving some of the places, get some partnership agreements in place with neighbouring landowners. We could get the bus in so that people could access this not only by bike and foot, would be amazing. And I think there's sort of small bits of land that we could really take charge in improving the open spaces or the parking or fly tipping, all those lovely elements that come with any undeveloped site.
And how much are we talking about to make all of that happen, to get those 8,000 homes coming forward?
Oh my goodness. Well, our initial estimates are very close to £1 billion. That's a lot of money.
And what's your confidence level in achieving that, in getting hold of that money and making this happen?
I think in the short term, and in terms of starting that process, I feel reasonably confident. I think there's a drive to deliver housing. There's a sort of outlook for undeveloped sites, and we're certainly all aligned on that internally at the council. I'm not sure I see confirmation of money coming from government to deliver that. And there will continue to be challenges with the delivery of the 8,000 homes that I suspect will take another 20 years to get there. So I suppose less clear about what that path looks like. But
I guess people from the outside might look at that and say, why is it that you're relying on the government for that £1 billion? Why can't the private sector provide that, given the private sector house builders are the ones that make profits out of building the homes?
Yeah, I think we've had a SPD in place since 2000.
That's a special... spatial planning document, yeah. It's very cold.
It is very cold. So we've had that in place for nearly a decade, which would be sort of the policy position to support housing delivery through this private sector, which just hasn't happened. I think it hasn't been enough to kind of tip the balance. Like I referred to earlier, the values is still such a driving force in holding back the private sector from delivering that housing.
So they just can't make a profit in this place.
Yeah, and even though we're in such a fantastic location, the values are actually pretty low here, which it doesn't allow you to then deliver housing. It's a real kind of catch-22.
Have you got any kind of measure of the value of those homes if they're delivered, those 8,000 homes?
Not at the moment, but we know that in terms of cost per square foot, we're not reaching 800, which is typically that tipping point at the minute.
That's
where
£800
per square foot of sales value. And that's... We've seen that as sort of the tipping point very broadly of where things become viable, or people are making profit out of the schemes.
So to make this happen, we have to find some other way of measuring the value of those 8,000
Yes.
homes to justify the £1 billion invested.
Investment, yeah. And I think sort of rowing back to that, creating a place here and creating interest, and we've seen that elsewhere in London, that actually the values do pick up once people are interested and buy into what a place means for a neighbourhood. So a slow journey, but trying to pick that value up in other ways, not just through housing delivery.
So Emma, it's not just about homes, is it? Because you can't create a place just by building some homes.
That's right. We are, not only are we sort of transforming Charlton from a very industrial, business-heavy location, which is really important for the council and its generation of business rates, but we're trying to maintain some of that within the new mixed-use development. So we would be sort of relocating, re-providing a type of industrial and business space within each of the developments, which makes them slightly more complicated, I think, and again challenges that viability conundrum when we're not only delivering products for sale.
If it was as simple as just plonking 8,000 homes down on remediated land, it could probably be done.
Yes.
But then you just end up with a sort of dormitory, a lifeless dormitory.
Exactly. And that's absolutely not what we want. There's certainly a drive within the council to not require all of our residents to commute to work and be able to offer that, I suppose, vibrancy in the place that you could work and live and enjoy. Charlton Riverside.
So given all the challenges that you mentioned, and given the sort of £1 billion that is going to be required to make this happen, what's your confidence in it happening and in fact in us delivering 1.5 million new homes?
I think it is a tall ask. I think I could see, if you like, a phased solution to that. Maybe the first element isn't about a £1 billion investment, but puts in something that starts to sort of allow it to help itself in some way.
So and values gradually increase as a place gradually changes in character.
That's right. And then the public sector of the private sector start to buy in and invest on their own to something that they can see is growing and has potential. So it may well not be a billion in the end, and that would be the hope, I suppose. And I suspect these difficulties are across the country.
Yeah.
So it's again going to be a very challenging delivery route to 1.5 million homes. We've done the easy sites as a country, certainly as a borough. So now they're very much more difficult, I think.
Emma Sweeney, thank you very much for your part in that difficult challenge of getting 1.5 million new homes built.
Thank you.
And that's it for another episode of 1.5 Million New Homes, the Local Government Challenge, sponsored by Redloft and Lovell Partnerships. We're going to be back with more from Greenwich in a couple of days, so stay tuned, click like, click subscribe, and you won't miss those episodes. And until then, we'll look forward to seeing you there.